Ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys for joining me for the video today. In it, I wanted to look at some of the young, rising quarterbacks in the NFL and answer the question, which young quarterback is gonna be next to win the Super Bowl? Now, before I deep dive this topic, if you guys are new, if you haven't done it before, if you've enjoyed content from me in the past, please consider giving me a like and subscribe. The support I get from you guys makes so big of a difference, and it means the world to me. I cannot thank you enough. With that out of the way, let's get into this version of Hot Off the Press. I am going to start with a couple honorable mentions before I get into my top 5. I'm gonna go from 5 all the way to the one that I think has the best chance of getting it done and hoisting the Lombardi. So the first of my 2 honorable mentions is Dak Prescott, and he misses the list for a couple reasons. I did want to mention him though, because not only does he play in the NFC, which is the place to be if you want a better chance at winning it all, but he also resides in the NFC East. This is one of, if not the weakest division in the entire league, and it has been really for years. Dak benefits from this layup of a division year in and year out, so his path to a division crown and playoff berths are much easier. Now, that being said, he has yet to do a whole lot with that advantage. While Dak has absolutely dominated within his division, he has struggled mightily with solid competition outside of it. He's basically Kirk Cousins with a lot less haters. He performs on an elite level against teams of lesser competition, stuffing the stat sheet and giving hope to his fan base. But if a winning team is across the sidelines, in that case, he shrinks, and the stats here do not lie. The Cowboys have usually surrounded him with a really good supporting cast, specifically on offense, where he's almost always stood behind one of the best offensive lines in the entire league. His wide receiver group, for the most part, has been great, and he's had prime Zeke to hand it off to, but the results have been mixed. I admit, the defense that has been backing him has not always been great, but it has been good enough. So it gives me hesitancy to say that Dak can take that next step and truly take Dallas to the pinnacle. He is just 1-3 in the playoffs and misses my top 5. Lamar Jackson has won an MVP and has a sterling career record in the regular season of 37-12, but I am also leaving him out of my top 5. There are a few concerns for me. Early on in his career, he certainly struggled as a passer, but I believe that he is on his way past that to an extent. He will likely never develop into a true pocket passer that is capable of beating you solely with his arm, but that's all right because that is not his game. He is at his best when he is creating on the fly and terrorizing defenders with his legs, and that is one of my concerns as well. We've seen his entire career how dangerous he can be in the open field, but I just do not think what he does is sustainable. Just like last year, this is going to lead to injuries, and it also doesn't help that the Ravens just took away his number 1 wideout in Hollywood Brown, a guy he had excellent chemistry with and whose skills mesh really well with what Jackson does. He does still have one of the best tight ends in the league in Mark Andrews and a heck of a backfield if they can stay healthy. I'm a believer in Rashad Bateman, who started to break out last year too. The offensive weapons here, though, just might not be enough when we look at the other teams in the AFC. That increases the weight on Lamar's shoulders, as well as the likelihood of injury if and when he tries to do too much. The Bengals just got to the Super Bowl, Cleveland out of the top 5 talent QB-wise, and Pittsburgh just flat out knows how to win. This division is a gauntlet, and that makes it even tougher on Lamar. He comes up just short as one of my favorites to hoist the Lombardi. Now to my top 5, and it starts with Justin Herbert, who has been able to do a ton in his 2 seasons in the league. I do admit that it is a stretch, potentially, to put him in my top 5. The kid has never been to the playoffs, and he plays in the best division in the NFL. I do think that he has what it takes to overcome it. The stats are eye-popping, and last year he surpassed 5,000 yards for the first time. Get used to that because he is still ascending. I am slightly concerned with the interception numbers. It would be crazy not to be. But the cerebral part of the game is going to come for him. It already has started. Once he starts dissecting defenses at will, watch out. Herbert is more dangerous with his legs than he gets credit for. Now, he's not Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen in this department, but he understands when to take off for a critical first down and what he can do when plays break down. His arm talent is next level. Justin can make all the throws and has really good footwork. For a young kid, his pocket presence is solid too. There is a lot to love about his game. What makes me truly believe in Herbert, though, is what he has surrounding him. Los Angeles has put together one of the most talented rosters in the league. The only glaring hole is the defensive line and stopping the run, where they were one of the worst in 2021. However, the Chargers made moves to rectify this, signing Sebastian Joseph Day from the Rams and Austin Johnson from the Giants. These two are going to make a big difference and are certainly getting paid like they will. Everywhere else, all you see are stars. On the outside, it's Mike Williams and Keenan Allen. They are quite a formidable duo. Williams provides the size and physicality to dominate in the red zone and in contested catch situations, and Allen is flat out one of the most dependable targets in the NFL. He knows how to get open and help move the chains and has incredible hands and body control. Jalen Guyton is a decent complementary piece, and the signing of Gerald Everett is a solid addition. And then you get to the backfield where Austin pound for pound Eckler is one of the game's most versatile backs. He dominated in 2021 both on the ground and especially through the air. He is a nightmare for defenses to have to account for and has a nose for the end zone. He's really hard to bring down in space and has incredible strength for his size. The running back room is deep too, with Larry Roundtree and newly drafted rookie Isaiah Spiller, who came in from Texas A&M. The secondary, which was already elite in 2021, got a lot better with the splashy signing of J.C. Jackson from New England. He can lock down any opponent's number one receiver, and the Chargers are going to be really hard to throw against in 2022. Considering the points that LA is likely to put up, it makes them a very formidable opponent here and in the future. On the edge, the Chargers elevated too, making a trade with Chicago to go and get Khalil Mack to pair with Joey Bosa. Now, Mack is not what he was in his prime, but he is not going to have to be to make a huge impact on this team. It is likely that these two are going to be in plenty of situations where they can pin their ears back and get after the quarterback. The Chargers' window to make deep playoff runs is wide open, and Herbert is ascending, so I like his chances. My number 4 player is Kyler Murray. And even though DeAndre Hopkins' suspension puts a little bit of a damper in the short term, as for the long term, I still like his chances. His place on my list is not without issues, so let's look at those first. The NFC West is a historically competitive division, and not only does Arizona have to contend with the world champion LA Rams, but San Francisco was also just in the NFC title game. It is not going to be easy to get out of this division alive. Kyler's play brings some concerns as far as his durability as well, and we saw last year how critical health is to his game. If he is not at 100%, he just is not the same guy. His touchdown to interception ratio leaves something to be desired too. And lastly, I detailed Cliff Kingsbury's shortcomings as a head coach in my Cardinal Spotlight video. Check it out if you haven't seen it, it's pretty good. Regarding their competitiveness without Nuke. What that basically boils down to is that Kingsbury has not shown an ability to close regular seasons off on a high note. These 3 things could be a killer to Murray's Super Bowl aspirations, but I believe that he has the talent to overcome them. Now to the good. Kyler has the biggest advantage of any quarterback on my list in one key category: the conference that he plays in. While the AFC is littered with stars at the quarterback position, the NFC is fairly top-heavy with a few. The list isn't very long. Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, and Matthew Stafford are the only surefire bets at quarterback that I would put in front of Murray. That's it. That is the list. One could argue that maybe Dak Prescott or Kirk Cousins as well, but regardless, it is nothing like the AFC competition. This makes the prospect of having to survive and getting to the Super Bowl that much easier. I have Murray as number 4 on my list because not only is he still improving as a passer, but he also has a knack for avoiding contact as a runner, last season notwithstanding. This should allow him to have a much better chance at staying healthy in the long term. Kyler was in a position to take home the MVP of the league last season before he got injured, and I would even say that he was the front runner prior to that Green Bay game where he went down. He has shown that he can play at an elite level. His ability to create something out of nothing puts a ton of pressure on the defense, and few can match his elusiveness both in and out of the pocket. The defense in Arizona was one of the best in the league before they faded a bit late, but they should be solid for years to come with the core that they have built. I do believe that the losses of Chandler Jones and Jordan Hicks are gonna hurt, but I think Isaiah Simmons is able to offset that as he develops and comes into his own, and a healthy JJ Watt is still dangerous. Budda Baker is one of the best safeties in the league, and he captains the back end. This is a defense that gets takeaways and an offense that capitalizes on them. On offense, Murray carries the ability to elevate those around him, and he will need to early on without Nuke. Once Hopkins is back, Arizona's group of playmakers can do some serious damage. The Marquise Brown addition is going to be huge for this team, and he already has experience with off-schedule plays from his time in Baltimore, and that is going to mesh really well with Kyler. I anticipate that they are going to team up to take the top off of a defense pretty often. And AJ Green, he still has something left in the tank, and he's going to be a wonderful safety blanket and possession receiver, and if the Cardinals can unlock Rondale Moore, Arizona is going to be really tough to defend. Zach Ertz is a top 10 tight end and showed an excellent rapport with Murray once he arrived mid-season. He provides yet another weapon in the Cardinals' arsenal. And of course, Nuke, a top 5 talent and unstoppable force both in the red zone and between the 20s. He has some of the best hands in the league and incredible athletic ability. The connection that he and Kyler have is one of the league's best. These two are going to dominate defenses for years to come. The running game is highlighted by the re-signing of James Conner, who exploded for 15 touchdowns and over 1,000 yards of total offense in 2021 as the initial 1B in Arizona's backfield. This time around, as the bell cow, he could travel back to 2018 where he threatened 1,500 total yards for Pittsburgh. There is enough in Arizona for a deep playoff push and a Super Bowl title. I believe Kyler has it in him to get it done. Into my top 3, and I start with DeShaun Watson, and it is really easy to forget with so much time away from the game and all of the distractions that have come with the case of DeShaun Watson, just how great of a football player he really is. There is a reason that the Browns bet the farm on him. The last time that we saw Watson on the field, he was putting up MVP numbers in a less than ideal situation, to say the least, in Houston. If he can do that in a dysfunctional environment, imagine what he is capable of with a roster as strong as Cleveland's. Spoiler alert, the sky is the limit. Defensively, it starts with Myles Garrett, a ferocious pass rusher with the ability to take over a game by himself. I love Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, even if I can't pronounce his name correctly. And the back end here is elite. Denzel Ward and Greg Newsome make it really hard to beat Cleveland through the air, and they both have lockdown ability. With Grant Delpit and John Johnson III as an incredible last line of defense, there are no weaknesses. DeShaun is going to benefit with one of the best rushing attacks in the league to hand off to. Between Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb, 1,500 yards on the ground is the floor. The threat that Hunt presents in the passing game is a deadly element to add onto it. I believe that Cleveland is going to be one of the most efficient play-action teams in 2022. When you add in the rushing ability of Watson, it creates too many possibilities for defenses to try and stop. Watson excels at pushing the ball downfield, he does not make poor decisions, and he has an excellent understanding of what a defense is trying to do. His mobility allows him to navigate the pocket easily, and he has a fantastic feel for incoming pressure. He flirted with 5,300 total yards the last time we saw him. There is no hole in his game. Amari Cooper was a much-needed addition for Cleveland and is going to be vital in Watson's success. He has true #1 wide receiver traits and will once again have a chance to shine as the main threat in the Browns' passing attack. I like him to elevate his game in 2022 with DeShaun at the helm. He will need to because there isn't a whole lot left behind him to test defenses. While I am a fan of Donovan Peoples-Jones as a decent #2, he only flashed in spurts and they were few and far between. David Njoku is a solid tight end, but he struggled to stay on the field in recent years. Thankfully, Watson is used to not having a ton around him, and I think that he adapts quickly. It is probable that Watson serves some sort of suspension, but once he is back, he's going to headline one of the best rosters, top to bottom, in the NFL. The only weakness for Cleveland really has been the ability to put it all together on the field. On paper, they have a fairly dominant defense and a top 3 running back tandem. They boast a top 10 offensive line that allows them to punish the defenses on the ground before setting up that play action game. This Browns team has it all. Watson is beyond set up for success, and when he returns to 2020 form, he's gonna make this Browns team one that no one wants to play. Believeland is back, and they are right to have their eyes on a Super Bowl. At #2, I have Joe Cool, and it would make sense for the guy that represented the AFC in the Super Bowl last season to sit at #1, but Burrow comes up just short for me. There is not much negative to be said for the kid. He has won everywhere that he has been, and over his last 2 complete seasons, he's reached the championship at their respective levels. First in college as he led LSU to that national championship, and of course last year in that Cinderella run with the Bengals. He carries that swag with him wherever he goes, and it certainly rubs off and impacts his teammates. His leadership is among the best in the NFL. The guys just want to play and win for him. He has a cannon for an arm, and the cerebral part of the game seems to be second nature to him. His accuracy is pinpoint. Burrow's only question mark is his health, and the concern isn't all that great. Cincinnati realized the error of their ways and spent plenty of resources to protect their franchise quarterback moving forward. The line should be much improved after Burrow spent much of the last 2 seasons on his back. The Bengals have surrounded Cool Joe with one of the best groups of playmakers in the entire league. Jamar Chase is already one of the game's best after his 1,400-yard rookie campaign. There is nothing this kid can't do. He has the short and the long speed to torch defenders and runs routes like a seasoned vet. T. Higgins enters season #3 after being PFF's 9th best wideout in 2021. He has nearly 2,000 yards through 2 years, being slowed only by an injury early last year. His last 5 games, though, proved his capabilities. He's the best #2 wideout in the league. His size, strength, and body control make him a top 5 red zone threat. Tyler Boyd is an underappreciated #3, and he stepped up in a big way with Higgins out. He's averaging over 900 yards and 5 touchdowns a season over the last 4. No team has a better 3-wide set. In the backfield, Joe Mixon bounced back from an injury-riddled 2020 season in a monster way, surpassing 1,500 yards and scoring 16 times. He's a weapon in the passing game, and Cincy is not scared to utilize him like it. With all of that on offense, the Bengals are destined to have success for years to come. They're going to be able to score with just about anybody as Joe Burrow only continues to get better. Now, the defense in Cincinnati, they are not elite, but they get the job done, especially against the run, where they were a top 10 team last season. They're going to give up some big plays, and they had issues with penalties as well, but they get away with it more often than not because of the success on the other side of the ball. Trey Hendrickson is a monster, and I love their first-round pick out of Michigan, the safety Daxton Hill. I was actually really hoping that he fell to my Vikings, but alas, they snagged him. He should start immediately and present a boost on the back end. There is no doubt that the NFC North is really tough, but it looks like Cincinnati's division to lose over the next couple of years. The Bengals are going to be a contender, and they're going to have opportunities to finish the job and hoist the trophy in the near future, led by Burrow. If you have been paying attention, you know that my love of Josh Allen is strong and he deserves the #1 spot on this list. He came within 13 seconds of making it back-to-back AFC title games, and it is inevitable that he gets over the hump and takes the Bills to the promised land. Allen's game is a mixture of prime Cam Newton and Phillip Rivers. The kid can sling the heck out of it and is a literal pain to bring down once he breaks contain. Some of the throws and the plays that he makes just leaves you in awe. His accuracy continues to improve. He is the best dual threat in the NFL. You can call me crazy, but if I can take any quarterback right now to build my team, Allen is my guy. Now that my rant is over, the Bills have surrounded Allen with the most talented roster in the league. 1-53, no one stacks up with Buffalo. They took their #1 rated defense in 2021 and decided to get better, adding future Hall of Famer and 2-time Super Bowl champion Von Miller on the edge. He's going to help shore up that pass rush, which was their biggest need. Taking Kaiir Elam in the first round to bolster an already elite secondary was genius. They have stars at every level and have been among the league's best for years. At this point, they can basically do their jobs in their sleep. Now, on offense, it all starts with Stefon Diggs. Over the last 2 years, he's racked up over 2,700 yards and he scored 18 times. He's a locked top 10 wide receiver and is unstoppable once he gets going. I do not love the loss of Cole Beasley, but the Jamison Crowder signing is underrated, and if he can stay healthy, he will help offset it. Dawson Knox also elevated his game in 2021, and he made a case to be among the top 10 at the tight end position. When you add in the emergence of Gabriel Davis, who scored 4 times against the Chiefs in the playoffs, I think the Bills are going to be just fine through the air. On the ground, Buffalo sorely needs an identity. The Zach Moss experiment really didn't work, but Devin Singletary did show some promise in spurts. If they can commit to him and ask less of Josh Allen, it would go a long way. Now, the addition of Dalvin Cook's brother, James, and the signing of Duke Johnson at least gives the Bill options. Josh Allen has shown that he can certainly carry the load on the ground if he has to, but it is far from ideal. It does help that New England has taken a step back, and while the Dolphins and the Jets are looking like they're building something, they are not on the same wavelength as the Bills. When you put it all together and you look at the team, the division, and the pure talent, there is no young quarterback with a better chance of a Super Bowl title than Josh Allen. And that is all I got for you guys for the video today. I really hope you enjoyed the content and you learned something. If there is content that you guys are wanting, please drop that down below because I do this for you. If it's your first time on the channel, welcome. Please consider giving me a like and subscribe. The support that I get from you guys means the world and it helps me out so very much. This is Relentless Press. I am your host, Abraham Opatz, and we'll see you next time.